Founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. Got a great episode of Giant TV today. I've got Master Chair, Vistage Chair, Mark Taylor on the episode. He's doing incredible things with his leaders and his CEOs and executives. They're all focused in AI. Mark has a lot going on there. I've got Eric Langley, who's an AI expert advising businesses across the country on AI. This is a very lively discussion. Mark jumped right in with Eric. There's a lot of great back and forth and really getting into the weeds of what AI is all about. It's one of my favorite episodes. You're going to love this. Let's go jump in. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Giant TV. I'm Paul Hitchcock, founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. Really excited for my guest today. I have Eric Langley, who is an AI expert and is traveling around the country advising businesses on automation, AI, other innovative areas. Welcome, Eric.
Great to be here, Paul. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Mark Taylor is a master Vistage chair doing incredible things. And Mark, welcome. Glad that you could be here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So topic, of course, is AI, and we all know it's here to stay. Everybody's talking about it. It's a big deal. Mark, I want to start with you. And first, tell us what you're doing with Vistage, what you're building there, and how AI might be coming up in discussions with your members and sort of your thoughts about it.
I'm in New York City, and I work with about 7 groups, so about 120 plus members.
That's all?
Yes, that's it. I work with 2 CEO groups, so there's about 60 of those that are movers and shakers in New York City, some of the fastest growing companies in the country. And then I work with their key executives to support them. And then I work with their middle managers to support their key executives in the organizations. And then I have a couple of companies that I do exclusive Vistage work just for them. And at a recent meeting, I was asking them, how many of you are afraid of AI? And about half of them raised their hand. So we really need to get more knowledgeable about what is AI, is there anything to be afraid of, and as I know from previous conversations with you, Eric, how can we leverage this AI to enhance our business, either cut costs or increase sales?
Yeah, that's great stuff. So, Mark, you're finding that it is a topic of conversation. Are the ones that are embracing it, are they, what areas of the company are they kind of utilizing AI?
Well, what I've encouraged everyone to do is to at least get a subscription to ChatGPT and start playing with it personally so that they can get familiar with it. So yeah. I'm hearing is, they're using ChatGPT to help them with their emails, to maybe redo a marketing document, to I have a couple of technology companies that are building AI into the systems that they sell to clients, and they use it for things like even programming. I understand that it can help in programming and make it faster, more efficient, check for errors and things along those lines. So I've got a spectrum, as you do with any diverse population of people that are fully using it to its probably full potential, to people that are afraid to even start.
Do you find that at your member companies, the champion of this effort is the owner, the CEO, or is there somebody else within the company that's doing it? How does that shake out?
It's interesting because it's different. Some CEOs are, like I have an IT person, that's kind of like their area to figure out. It's kind of like some CEOs don't really know financials. They have a CFO, and that's their job to figure it out. My perspective is that you need to know a little bit about everything, because if you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you're missing out. And people in those areas have limited perspectives, and it's only you as the business owner or the CEO that has the wide perspective of where the organization's going and where you want to take it.
Yeah, very interesting. I know, Mark, obviously you have your thumb on the pulse of this and a lot of these hot topic issues, and you're growing some of your groups there. for those that are listening here, you have seats available, and who are you looking for to add to this mix of leaders that you're working with?
My groups have about 16, 17 members in each one of them, and I would cap it at 20. So, I mean, I got a few seats, but I'm very selective about who comes into an organization. Most of my members are between 10 million in revenue and 500 million in revenue, with the sweet spot really being in that 20 to $80 million range. Most of these are privately held companies. I have a couple that are not-for-profit organizations. And so these are people that founded their companies, or in some cases were second or third generation, where their parents or grandparents founded these companies. And they have some unique challenges because most of them were experts in their particular domain. And all of a sudden they noticed that their company grew and got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, hey, I'm running a $20 million company and I can't tell anyone, but I think I'm a little over my head and I'm not sure what to do. And it's awful lonely here. And that's one reason they joined Vistage. And that's one of the benefits that you get, is that you have a group of unbiased peers that can really help you see different perspectives. You can learn from their experience. It was one of the things, because I'm a former Vistage member, that really changed my life.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that. It's funny because I have a friend of mine who's third generation, CEO running a company, big construction company. And his comment is, grandfather, the first one is, starts it. The second one grows it. My job is don't screw it up. But, it's perfect for Vistage all along the way, I think,
Yes.
Well, great. Well, Eric, let's jump over to you. And I know, Mark, you also have some great questions as we get into what Eric's doing. But Eric, tell us about what you're doing and just sort of, intro here.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. What Mark said about, the business leaders, the CEOs, and understanding, the kind of like where the ecosystem is nowadays. I spend a lot of time, teaching or coaching, thought processes. And I like to call it exponential thinking. You typically you had that kind of incremental thinking. We did this, we did this, we did this, and that's fine. It makes a nice line. But if you can make a mind that goes like this, and part of that is AI, right? So AI has that capability to give us exponential improvements. So the thought process is the driver behind that.
Yeah. And so when you're going in, Eric, what is your first sort of foray when you're talking to companies? How are you guiding them, or what's going on initially?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I really want to know where they want to go. I mean, so like the destination becomes, the driving force. So most companies that are actively growing and seeking to grow have at least a strategic plan. Maybe they're in EOS or something like that, and they've got a destination in mind. So I really want to, determine what that is. And then as part of my process, I do a discovery, like where are you now? And that builds then this classic gap of I want to get here, but I'm here. And then I'm looking to see how AI can enable that, how AI can accelerate that journey to the destination. That's a lot of my time is
Oh,
figuring that out. And I'm sure Mark does. Mark, you do that as well, right?
yeah, but I want to slow it down just a little bit here because, some people in our audience, we're throwing these words like AI, which I know stands for artificial intelligence, but in simple terms, like Vince Lombardi used to start out saying, this is a football. In simple terms, what is AI and why is it relevant to small business owners?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to think about AI is that if you had a child, a young child or a baby, that you're teaching what different fruits are, apple, banana, grape, and the child learns those things. AI is basically doing the same thing in the digital world. And then when you have a box of mixed up apples, bananas, and grapes, AI can sort those out and put them into little piles. And that's no different than it can do with language or video or images. It takes all these concepts and then divides them out and gives you a return. And that's the beauty of, ChatGPT and generative AI, is that it can create the things that we're asking for because it knows what they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but maybe you can give some examples that would be relevant to small business owners.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to consider this from a small business owner is like, what area of your business do you want to improve? So if you have sales and marketing that you want to improve on, well, then content is going to be an area that you're going to be creating information. But if you're trying to improve your operations and that's your constraint in your business, we're not able to deliver. So you might use some AI that is like machine learning that is going to improve productivity, or maybe even a manufacturing production line by analyzing what is happening and then improving that process. So there's a lot of different opportunities to use AI in those ways.
Uh, and what would you say are some of the key components of a successful AI strategy?
Oh gosh. So, I think that the number one key component is leadership buy-in and people buy-in. So what ends up happening is that change management becomes a big driver of success of AI programs. So leadership has bought in. You mentioned the CEO, not just saying, "Hey, my IT guy is doing this." Everybody comes together as a team to build out those systems. That has huge value. If you look at the studies that Bain and McKinsey have done, initiatives or transformation initiatives fail when there isn't buy-in from leadership and people. So that's the most important success factor. The technical aspects are very, very small sliver of the challenge.
But if I'm an employee, I might be afraid of this AI taking over my job, or that I'm going to get laid off as a result of the boss, wanting to implement it. I mean, should I be afraid?
Yeah, that is a concern, I think, if you are not growing and developing. And in the beginning, what AI is going to allow you as that employee to do is do your job more efficiently. The word we use is augmentation. So augmentation means that AI is helping me do my job faster. The way that I like to term it is it takes me from doing mindless work to doing meaningful work. So if my repetitive tasks can be automated and I can focus on my highest use, I'm going to be much more satisfied as an employee and a productive person in the organization and in society in general. So I think they're valid thought processes, but I think the reality is that it's going to allow us to be much better at what we do.
Yes, I was talking last week with a marketing executive that has fully embraced AI and was talking about exactly that, how much it has helped his business to become more efficient, to reach out to a bigger client base and to serve more clients. So I think that it's the growth mode and the augmentation are the perspectives to take a look at.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the common challenges that small businesses face when they're implementing AI, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, one of the things that comes into play is there's so many opportunities for improvement. The AI literally is going to touch every area of business. McKinsey did a study released in the summer that in all industries, 25% of work is automatable. That is a huge number. So where do you start becomes an issue. And we
Uh,
generally look for, in the beginning, things that are easy to implement and get a big impact, AKA low-hanging fruit, right? So you want to do those things that are easy. And then as time goes by, you get a couple of those quick wins, and then you do things that are maybe a little bit more complex, but have maybe even a broader or a more foundational impact. But starting definitely with easy and big impact.
Yeah. So, how can like a business owner measure the return of an investment from investing in one of these initiatives? Can you give an example of how it helped somebody?
Yeah, you can see I'm excited about this question because this is really my favorite question. And the way I frame this is this way. Let's say you do customer satisfaction survey, and maybe it's a scale of 1 to 5, and your company rates a 4.1. And maybe you even had it done by a third party and they say you're a 4.1. What does it take to move the needle to 4.2? And what is the return on investment of that? And once you determine what that number is, then you can make an initiative that moves the needle, and now you have a return on investment. That might be personalization with AI. It may be just staying in touch. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But that's the easiest way, I think, is to get something a metric that means something to you, and then move that metric.
Very interesting. Can you share any case studies of where you implemented it specifically and it's had a certain amount of a return on investment?
Yeah, those are the when you're generally looking at those are typically the low-hanging fruit comes from like streamlining operations and reducing man hours of doing things. So one of the case studies that comes to mind is a learning platform where assessors or teachers are reading essays that come in from students. And I actually got a kick out of this because I was at the airport the other day, and this, you could tell he was a teacher, had a bunch of paper on the table, and I was like, "Old school, huh?" He goes, "Yeah, this is what I do." But in that instance, we took all those essays and took the teacher's rubric, which is how they score their essays, and applied AI to read that and then apply that rubric to that, and actually using the teachers in conjunction with the AI to grade them and then teach the AI as they're grading them. That's a powerful tool. That saved literally hundreds of man hours in that process.
My adult son has been a teacher for 20 plus years, and his concern is all the kids using AI. Can he use an AI bot to tell whether or not the article or the essays were written by an AI?
Yes. So the AIs are having this battle right now, and the AIs that write the stuff are learning how to defeat the bot that is reading it. So it's going to be really difficult. Plus, if you think about a person prompting for output, that is a creative process. ChatGPT needs a lot of context. It needs tone. It needs a lot of information. You are creating the document when you're doing it, and you're also editing that document. So yeah, it's helped by AI to give you a foundation, but then you go in and I don't know if you've ever heard of Thomas Kincaid. He had the Painter of Light. He had the paintings that were very beautiful, nature scenes and
Streams and puffy
little
clouds. Yeah.
houses in the forest.
Yeah.
Well, he had a team of painters that painted those, and then he came in and did, like the highlights, and you had a Thomas Kincaid paint.
Sold for $40,000 at your
Right.
local gallery.
So very similar, but the value is there, right? You're doing that as the person. So I think learning is going to fundamentally change, and the way we assess learning is going to change.
Got it. But it brings to mind, what are the ethical considerations that we should keep in mind when we're implementing AI?
Gosh, I mean, you've got everything from security to proprietary customer data and having them out in the public. I think the main thing with those is that they need to be addressed somewhere in the design process. Matter of fact, I have 7 attributes that I use for selecting whether AI is even viable for this situation. And one of them is, does it pass an ethical test? Are we going to get what we need from this ethically?
Yes. Now, we've talked that we want to offer a strategic meeting actually with you to help any of my members or any candidates that might be a prospect for a Vistage group, an AI strategy meeting. Can you share a little bit more about what that would be like?
Yeah, the strategy sessions are really great. And I think that when you think about the definition of a strategy session, it's pulling away from your business and start to take a look at a high level of what is possible. So if we spend 45 minutes with a member or a prospective member talking about what is possible in their business at a high level, that is a pretty big value. I mean, you're bringing a resource to the table, and that can literally transform a business owner's entire organization just from one conversation. So I think there's a good bit of value to be created there.
Wonderful. Paul. Well, thank you for agreeing to do these AI strategy sessions. I'm looking forward to doing some with people. Paul, have you got anything else to add?
No, I think it's a great discussion, great questions, Mark. And yeah, no, Eric, always wonderful input. And I want to tell everybody that's listening to this, because we're going to put this out there and stream this to get people just dialed into what this conversation is all about, that get connected to Mark and Eric. Their information is around this video, wherever you're watching this, because we stream it everywhere. And yeah, continue to follow us, because we're going to have more on this topic. I want to thank you both for being here. Great.
Thank you, Paul. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.